Alrighty, guys. So you're in pre-production and you're struggling to move forward with a storyboard or a screenplay or something of the sort, right? You're stuck. You don't know what to do. We've all been there. I get it. But today I'm hoping to offer you a mindset or an alternative to perhaps show you guys that maybe the best thing to do instead of trying to figure out whatever piece of the pre-production puzzle you're stuck on, instead of trying to figure it out, is maybe to just move on to the next step. Maybe sometimes that's the best option. So we're going to be taking a look at a film called Of the Unseen Wildfires, which I directed with my good friend Luke Smith, which won first place in Nevada for the Skills USA competition and led me and him on to win first place with our film Switcheroo. This is a film about two siblings, one of which, who we can see right here. Our lovely William Hilton is taking a job as a fire watchman, and he has to leave his poor sister, Marie, to be alone with her family and all sad, and travel to New York all by herself. So it's a period piece, and in concept, it's very aspirational. It's very what's the word? It's very ambitious, right? It's very ambitious, but all films should be a little ambitious. You should always be working to a concept that you feel might just be a little bit out of your skill set, and then you should achieve it. The whole film takes place in one location, which is the woods by their house. All of it. And then one or two shots in a train car. But the biggest thing I want to talk about is definitely the cinematography. But when I was trying to develop a storyboard for this film, I remember sitting in the basement of our film department. It's quite cold and quite industrial down there, and trying to draw storyboards. And I got one shot, which is the opening shot, which I'll show you. And then after that, I just couldn't help but think that I wouldn't be able to know where I'm going to have to put the camera once we're out in nature until I'm out there feeling it, right? Being surrounded by the trees, being immersed in the nature of this film. And very similarly, the director of photography on Train Dreams had a similar process where obviously their shots were planned, but a very grounded, very minimalist approach to the cinematography and openness to capture what they saw once they were outside in nature. If you haven't seen Train Dreams, you should watch it. So we're going to start from the beginning, and I'm going to just talk through my mindset as we go. So let's look at the opening shot, because this was the shot that I had very explicitly in my head, and it was the only one that was like that.
On August 20th and 21st of 1910, more than 3 million acres of forest burned down. It happened on the East Coast, and they called it the Big Burn. It was during that year that they built the first ever fire lookout on the top of Squaw Mountain, and they needed someone to man it.
So thankfully, thanks to the music and what we're capturing here, it's very sentimental feel, but it's also us being thrust a little bit into adventure. And that's what we wanted to capture here. So I was like, we just throw this on a 10 millimeter and really just let the audience sit in the nature of these woods for just a second, and then transition into handheld in a very jarring way. So we had it propped up on a very small tripod, and then I picked up the camera. And as we walk with her, we pan up and we show these vast trees. And this is kind of what I'm talking about. There's no way I would have been able to find this frame in sitting in the basement. And I think sometimes it's okay to understand that sometimes instead of having to have everything planned to do well, being present is the most important thing. Whether you're a director working with actors, whether you're a cinematographer working with a beautiful environment, learning the skill to be present while you're on set and catching things that you may not notice the first time is so important. Now, specifically on cinematography, backlight. We've been talking about this. Put things between you and the sun. Because this is Vegas, there's harsh sunlight. So I'm like, put the freaking trees between the camera and the sun. Put our actors between the sun and the camera. And then this axe swing, we're amplifying that movement.
Last one, Bear?
By the wide angle lens.
Have you finished packing?
Yeah.
It's a 9-hour trip by
The
train.
firelight that's hitting their face is the only light that we placed in the whole film. Everything else is completely naturally lit.
All right? That's okay.
everything.
Mom says the new house should be big enough for both of us to
That's
have
part of the
one room.
mindset that we wanted to place
We
ourselves
don't
in.
even have to chop our own firewood anymore. Dad says we can just buy it from a shop.
Wow.
Again, we're shooting from the dark side. The firelight's hitting his face, but the shadows here, and then we're getting rim light from the trees and the sun behind
Are
him.
you even listening to our house?
Same situation here. Which side of her face is closest to the camera? The shadow side. The light's mainly hitting her from this way, and then from behind. So we want to make sure we're staying on the shadow side in every single shot.
Are we just buying a smaller house?
And they have their whole conversation, and then we cut to this shot. Same thing. It's also about composition. Like, they're composed on the thirds a little bit here. So that's the most important thing to keep in mind when you're shooting really anything, but specifically when you're shooting outside, is what can we control? What is in our control? Well, what's in our control is the composition and where we block our actors. Naturally lit. We put the sun behind her. Her face is the shadow side. Backlit. Sunlight coming in through these windows. Everything. Everything. Which side of her face is close to the camera? The dark side. It's the same idea in every single shot. Which side of her face is closest? The dark side. Dark side. Dark side. I cannot stress enough how simple we can make this, you know? Dark side of the face. Dark side of the face. Dark side of the face. Dark side. Sunlight is coming in from here. You cannot show me a shot in this film where the shadows are not towards the camera. This creates depth. I'm telling you, dark side. The sun's hitting him from here. Guys, it's every single shot. Every single shot. It's as simple as that. And that's how you shoot outside. That's how you get shots outside in harsh sunlight that don't suck. You put as much as you can between the sun and your subject within reason. Because we're also putting the trees in between the camera and the subject, which is creating nice diffusion. The film is very grounded. It's very present with the characters. And that's what we wanted to achieve. And in order to achieve that, sometimes you need to inhabit it while you're creating. And that's what I had to do, when I was operating the camera. That's what we had to do when we were planning the shots, right? It's the only way that we felt connected enough to get the right feeling across. Is I can't draw this while I'm surrounded by concrete in the industrial basement of our school. I need to be out in nature and feel what's right. And that ended up being a beautiful workflow. I mean, we shot this whole film in like 4 hours. Flew by, and that's with a lunch break. Like, it flew by because we believed in the screenplay. But we also were comfortable enough and confident enough in ourselves and our performers to make decisions when we were out there. And sometimes that's really important. Not everything always should be planned to a T. Am I saying you shouldn't storyboard? No. Am I saying you shouldn't shot list? No. Am I saying you shouldn't communicate with your crew before going to set? No, absolutely not. Obviously, we know that that's going to end badly. But what I can say with confidence is that being comfortable with pivoting, being comfortable with making changes on the day based on being present in the scene is so important, because I believe that you will never be as present in a scene as you will when you're shooting it. Except maybe during the final cut. But you've already become so familiar with it by the time the final cut comes out that when you're creating it, you need to be able to pick up on what our actors are saying. You need to be able to pick up on the fact that the trees create a clearing here, and that arc is perfect to frame our character's head in. So this is an extreme example because we had virtually no story. We didn't really have a storyboard for this scene here, for this film. But that's because it serves the structure and the style that we wanted. Put your characters, your subjects between the sun and you when you're shooting outside. Always, 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 always. But Jacob, what if we need to shoot coverage? What if we need to shoot coverage? I'll tell you what you do. If you can't get the sun directly behind, which I'm not saying you should always do either, but if you can't get it behind both characters, like for example here, where's the sun on them? It's about right over here. This is where the sunlight's coming in from. Boom, Boom. So we're still getting, so she's backlit almost fully from this angle, but he's getting a little bit side lit. But because we have the contrast from the firelight, we're still getting a nice shadow side to the camera. And that's almost more important than where the sun is. It's what's facing the camera, the dark side. Because we can see we're getting highlights here. We're getting highlights on his cheek and on his nose, meaning the sun is kind of hitting him from here. But we're still getting the dark side of him towards the camera. I'm telling you, it's really hard to go wrong. I know I keep saying this over and over and over, but I can't stress it enough. That's how simple it is. Stop overthinking as an artist. You gotta stop doing it. As a cinematographer, you gotta stop doing it. I know you know the rule of thirds. I know you know the golden ratio. I don't even use the golden ratio ever. Is there times where maybe could? Does it mean that it's necessarily bad? Of course not. No, it's a composition. But I'm saying I basically only use the rule of thirds and central composition. Always. That's all I need. That's all I need. Because as soon as you start to understand where to place your light, everything falls in place. Because what am I going to say again about this shot that we're looking at right now? Dark side is towards the camera. And I think this is a good shot. If you don't like these shots, feel free to let me know. And that's totally fine. But here, shadow side. Very dramatic, very sad, very dark. But if you follow, that's all the principles you need. That's all you need. Is central composition, rule of thirds, and understanding where the light needs to go. Once you have that down, you're set. You're set. That's literally all you need. Guys, I'm telling you, you need to stop overthinking this. Central composition. Central composition.
Tell you the story.
Central composition. Central composition. We're not doing complex things here with the compositions. You know, this isn't a crane shot with, you know, this, like, we're just, is this not us just holding the camera up to him? Yes, that's it. That is all it is. But what we did is we controlled the things we knew we could and needed to control, which is making some kind of decision about composition, right? The eye line, even though we can't see his face, his eye line is still in the top third. And he's in the center. That's composition. And then we put him between the sun and us. Control what you can control. And that doesn't need to be everything. Here. Why is this shot beautiful? This is my favorite shot in the whole movie. Why does it work so well? Look at this. Top of the mountain. His eyes. Other side of the mountain. On a third. This tree. On a third. This tree. Kind of, sort of on a third. This mountain is more on the third than the tree was, but guys, I'm gonna annotate this. Let me freaking draw these thirds. Very crude, but these are kind of our thirds here. Look at that. Where's the tree? Where's the top of his hat and his eyes? Boom. Thirds. These are very crude thirds. It's okay. I'm going to maybe move. Oh my gosh. No. Let's move that somewhere else. Look how that just matches. It just falls right into place. I'm telling you, rule of thirds is all you need. I'm telling you, rule of thirds is all you need. Because, okay, fine. It's a little not perfect here, but neither is the drawing. But you can see the vision, her eye line. Her eye line, her eye line. It's every shot. It's almost unbelievable. It's almost unbelievable. It's almost not real. Once you start recognizing these patterns, it all becomes obvious. That's the secret. That's the secret, guys. I'm putting you all on the sauce right now. Now, okay, whoa. This isn't rule of thirds. It's okay because it's central. It's a central composition. If you drew just a plus in the middle, that also is a composition. But look where her eye is. And he missed his mark a little here, and that's okay because we liked the performance. Anyway, that's it. That's it. Guys, I don't know if this video makes any sense, but that's the process. Pick a composition, put your subject between you and the light, and you're off to the races, guys. You're off to the races. Let me know if this video was helpful at all to you. If it wasn't, that's fine as well. But as always, thank you for sticking around, and I hope you got something out of this. Keep making awesome things. I'll see you guys soon.